It's really interesting when you say being drawn and driven. And that's something really interesting because when you're driven, it's coming from the mind, it's coming from the head. When you're being drawn, it's coming from spirit, from my interpretation of it. And throughout my life, I've been driven to say, I too am a driven artist. So I understand that. And only now, as I get older, do I realize that yes, there's a certain amount of drive you need to get the ball rolling. You gotta, you gotta get up, gotta get out of the house. You gotta submit things, you gotta do the work, and you gotta do that, and that's fine. But being drawn to a certain mission, being drawn to a certain idea of why you are here and how that works into you being an artist or whatever your skill set might be, is something that I'm working through as we speak. So it's really interesting when you said that. That really just checked something in my head really quickly. And I wanted to kind of dive deeper into that because I feel that so many of us are we live our lives through our head, our mind, our logic, and just think too much
Yeah.
and not feel enough. And I know that might sound woo woo to people listening, but if you're listening to this show, you're pretty woo woo. But in
Well,
generally,
it's
go ahead.
essential. It's essential.
Right?
It's only called woo-woo by people who are uncomfortable with exploring it.
Correct.
So let's look a little bit
Yeah.
at effort and grace.
Mhm.
And I believe in effort because I don't know when grace is going to show up. And so, in terms of writing, I push the pen until it pulls me, and
Oh, I love that. I'm sorry, I have to stop there for a second. That is such a great quote there. I push the pen until it pulls me. And on my other shows, I speak to a lot of high-end Oscar-winning writers and things like that. I've never heard anyone say it like that. And that is so you type and now you move the fingers on the keyboard until someone else takes control of the
Well,
keyboard.
this goes, so let's look at effort and grace
Yeah.
and about this deep sense of being drawn to things versus driven. And um, so, grace for me is when, and a great image for this is surfing. So the effort, a surfer paddles out, gets through the surf, gets out there, waits, paddles, and then if they're lucky and blessed, there's a wave. Now, it doesn't matter if it's a small wave, it's a great wave, if it's a once in a lifetime wave, no wave lasts forever. But for the duration that the surfer is riding the wave, they are one with the wave. And then the wave ends, and you're thrown back into effort. And you may come back on shore, or you may paddle back out. But this rhythm between effort and grace, and we can use that to talk about whether it's creativity or compassion or care. In that moment when we're riding the wave in the life of compassion, we are one with all those who hurt. In the moment of love, we are one with love. We
Right.
become in that moment of riding the wave, we are love. In that moment of integrity, we are truth. And because we're human beings, no one can stay there. But those moments of grace, of unity, of oneness, they inform everything. They inform the rest of our life. We learn from them. I've learned from them. I grow from them, and then I come back and on shore and go, "Wow, what just happened? What's going on there? What
Right.
happened?" So, so a lot of this, when we look at it, um, yeah, I think that humbly we have very little control in life. We basically can control our presence and our absence. And I think everything comes from our presence, which means holding nothing back, giving over, being completely open-hearted. And so when I'm confused or troubled or in fear or pain, I try to give my full attention to the nearest piece of life. It could be dust on a windowsill. I give my full attention until it becomes my teacher. I give over completely. And so this leads to the difference between giving attention and getting attention.
Hmm.
So yeah, we do have to do the work. We have to, I mean, even it doesn't matter about whether it's creative or not. You want a job, you got to make a resume. You're saying, hey, give me a look. That's fine, and that's necessary in the outer world of circumstance. When we get in trouble is when we take that getting attention to identify our worth. Our worth comes from giving attention. Our worth comes, when I was even before I had language for this as a boy, you know, I wonder came by giving attention, by recognizing and verifying. And in truth, I initially started writing for two reasons. I mean, one was I would see something amazing and then it would be gone. And I go, wait a minute, wait, I didn't get it, and I would write to keep like taking a verbal snapshot to keep the wonder in view a
Hmm.
little longer. Now, of course, the second reason I started writing was because the first woman in high school that I loved dumped me and broke my heart, and I wasn't a loner, but I didn't have close friends till college, so that was a way to start healing. And of course, as I started healing, I realized I wasn't talking to myself. I had begun a conversation with the universe.
To watch the full video, click on the link below, and don't forget to subscribe.